Hi, good afternoon, and we are here to revise yet another topic in your AFM syllabus, and that topic is mergers and acquisition. Now, mergers and acquisition as a discussion point is tested very, very frequently in the paper. In fact, I believe some of the trickier questions in the paper can be from mergers and acquisition. The question would usually involve, a situation where one entity is planning to acquire another entity. And when one entity acquires another entity, uh, we need to evaluate whether that offer is acceptable to the shareholders of both the entities. And there could be different offer types that are given to you. For example, in certain questions, you could have details on, say, for example, there is a cash offer. Now, what is a cash offer? A cash offer is a situation where uh, one entity acquires shares of another entity, and in exchange for shares acquired, you have to give cash in exchange. There could be another offer which is a share for share offer. So, for every share acquired, one entity issues shares to the other entity. For example, entity A acquires all the shares of entity B, and for every share acquired, there are three shares issued in exchange. For example, something like that. Or you could have a mixed offer. When I say you could have a mixed offer, what it means is it could be cash plus shares. ऐसा दोनों का combination could be there. And in each of these circumstances, what you will be asked to do is you would be asked to, first of all, understand key what is the gain to the shareholders of both the. I'm so sorry. There is a gain. What is the gain in absolute terms to the shareholders of both the entity? Point one. And then they could ask you to calculate the gain in percentage terms for the shareholders of both the entity. Now, there is a lot of theory in mergers and acquisition that is there. For example, there are, there is theory on synergy, there is theory on, methods of financing a cash offer, or, there is theory on different aspects like management buy in, management buy out, and whether the two organizations that have come together, will those be a cultural fit or not. तो इस टाइप का भी काफी थियोरी आपको पेपर में आता है. But right now, what I want to start off with is I want to start off with a question, because I believe doing one question from mergers and acquisition will give you a little more in-depth insight into what kind of questions are asked. And then, of course, we can construct the theory part around it. इसका theory part ऐसा, it's not very very intense the way it is for some other chapters, but more or less आपको 12 to 13 marks का numerical part रहेगा in the paper, which will be followed by theory part which is very closely linked with this part. ठीक है. So in many ways it can help you. The theory part has to be answered on the basis of the numerical calculations that you have done. Okay, so let's start with that. मर्जर्स एंड एक्विजिशन आफ्टर आपका ये जो टॉपिक है, आफ्टर इन्वेस्टमेंट अप्रेजल एंड रिस्क मैनेजमेंट, इफ देर इज अ टॉपिक दैट इज वेरी फ्रीक्वेंटली टेस्टेड, देन that is mergers and acquisition. ठीक है. So let's start with one question on that. Just give me a moment. I'll set up the sheet and then we can start. Just one moment. Chalo, let's get on with an interesting section B question from M&A. ठीक है. What is the question? Estimate the equity value of the combined company and the expected additional value arising from the combination of Selorne Company and Chavon Company. Estimate the share of the gain from the combination created for Chris Chavon and the share of gain created for Selorne Company's shareholders and comment on your results. Evaluate how reliable the estimates of the synergies for the combined company are likely to be and discuss the factors which may prevent the forecast synergies from being achieved. ठीक है. इसका let's try to always read the requirement first, because it gives you an idea of what exactly do they want. And once we have that information, then of course we can dig in deeper. Up. Selorne Company is one of the biggest removal companies in Poland, offering home and business removals. It has a number of long-term contracts with large businesses, although it has not won any new major contracts in the last 2 years. Selorne Company is listed on Poland's stock market for smaller companies. Selorne Company is financed by a mixture of equity and short and long-term debt, but its gearing level is below the average for its sector. Selorne Company has four executive directors who each own 20% of the company's share capital, with the other 20% owned by external shareholders. Selorne Company has paid a constant dividend since it has been listed, and its share price has risen slightly over the last 3 years. ठीक है. What is the current shareholding pattern? There are four executive directors who each own 20% of the company's share capital, with the other 20%. So 2020 हो जाएगा 80. Remaining 20% is owned by external shareholders. Selorn Company has paid a constant dividend since it has been listed, and its share price has risen slightly over the last 3 years. Selorn Company is based on a number of large cities and towns in Poland and owns the majority of the sites where it is located. Many of its employees have worked for the company for a long time. Drivers of the lorries used by Selorn Company are required to have a special heavy vehicle license. Salary levels at Selorn are relatively high compared with other companies in the sector. अभी तक ना मुझे वैल्यूएशन या उसके रिलेटेड कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं मिला है. What did they want us to do? They wanted us to estimate the equity value of the combined company, right? But on the basis of data that I have seen so far, ऐसा कुछ numerical data has not come to my notice. ठीक है. Let's see what information do we get later. Selorn is currently considering making a bid for Chavon Company, an unlisted company specializing in distribution and delivery services. Chavon Company is owned 100% by its founder, Chris Chavon. Chavon Company has built up a portfolio of small contracts over time. It has made unsuccessful bids for two large contracts over the last 12 months, the bids being rejected primarily because Chavon Company was not felt to be big enough to be able to guarantee the level of service required. It is based in many cities and towns where Selorn is located, although Chavon's premises are all rented. The drivers of Chavon's vehicles do not require a heavy vehicle license. Chavon Company has a few long-serving employees who are mostly center managers. Most of its drivers and staff, however, stay at Chavon Company for only a short time. Salary levels are low, although Chavon Company pays high levels of overtime and high bonuses if target profit levels are achieved. The company is highly geared, leading to recent media speculation about its financial viability. Do you see the difference in the two companies? Let's see what those are. ठीक है. Many employees worked for a long time. ठीक है. एंड यहाँ पे डू नॉट रिक्वायर व्हीकल लाइसेंस, फ्यू लॉन्ग सर्विंग एम्प्लॉयज. तो ये कुछ ऑपोजिट है दोनों कंपनीज में. ठीक है. मे बी had this been a question in SBL, we would have said different things like अरे कल्चर है, ये है, वो है, and all of that. Here naturally it might have an impact on the synergies. तो जब आप synergies calculate करेंगे at that point maybe something like this will come into picture. ठीक है. एंड सैलरी लेवल्स आर लो हियर, ऑल्दो यहाँ पे सैलरी लेवल्स एट सेलॉर्न आर रिलेटिवली हाई. ठीक है. इट इज हाईली गियर्ड, लीडिंग टू रीसेंट मीडिया स्पेक्यूलेशन अबाउट इट्स फाइनेंशियल वाइबिलिटी. ठीक है. अब आगे देखिए. Terms of bid for Chavon Company. In initial discussions about the acquisition, Chris Chavon indicated that she would prefer the consideration to be a share for share exchange, the terms being one Chavon Company share for five Selorn Company shares. ठीक है. Now, क्या है terms of exchange? One Chavon share for five Selorn shares. Now, always what I prefer doing is I prefer writing who is the acquirer company and who is the target company. ठीक है. Acquirer and target. Acquirer है Selorn, टारगेट है चावो. Chavon Company has $2 million one shares in issue, and Selorne Company has 50 million $0.5 shares in issue. Each Selorne Company share is currently trading at 6.5, which is a multiple of 8 of its free cash flow to equity. The multiple of 8 can be assumed to remain unchanged if the acquisition takes place. Chavon Company's free cash flow to equity is currently estimated at 7 million with an expected annual growth rate of 3%, and it is expected to generate a return on equity of 15%. Now there is some information that they have given about both the companies. Okay? Let's try to write that down. Part A. ठीक है. What all information is here? $2 million one shares in issue. Selorne has 50 million $0.5 shares in issue. ठीक है. So let's write down the details of both companies. ठीक है. Let's write down what all do you have. You have number of shares in issue and you have face value per share. Number of shares in issue. ठीक है. सेलॉर्न कंपनी का कितना है? चावोन हैज $2 million वन शेयर. It has 2 million shares. Face value per share 1. Selorne company has what? It has 50 million shares of 0.5 face value. ठीक है. 0.5 face value. ठीक है. तो can we get total share capital? A, B, C. वी डोंट नो उसमें से क्या क्या डेटा अपने काम आएगा, बट बेस्ट टू राइट इट डाउन. इट गिव्स यू मोर एंड मोर क्लैरिटी एज यू मूव अलोंग. ठीक है. ये है ए इंटू बी. ये है ए इंटू बी. ठीक है. आगे. आगे क्या लिखा है? Each Selorne company share is currently trading at 6.5, which is a multiple of 8 of its free cash flow to equity. The multiple of 8 can be assumed to remain unchanged if the acquisition takes place. Chavon Company's free cash flow to equity is currently estimated at 7 million with an expected annual growth rate of 3%. ठीक है. अब how many what is the market value per share of Selorne Company? Market value per share $6.5. ठीक है. So can we get total market value C into D? No, but this is total share capital, not C into D. It should be A into D. नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स इनटू मार्केट वैल्यू पर शेयर. ठीक है. ये हो गया. व्हाट एल्स हैव दे टोल्ड यू? दे हैव टोल्ड यू which is a multiple of 8 of its free cash flow to equity. So market value is 8 times the free cash flow to equity. ठीक है. So what do we have here? We have ratio of market value to free cash flow to equity 8. So if somebody asks me what is free cash flow to equity, it is E divided by F है ना. मल्टीपल ऑफ 8 मतलब दिस इज 8 टाइम्स द फ्री कैश फ्लो टू इक्विटी. हो गया. 44 crore 6,25,000. ठीक है. अब लेट्स सी व्हाट अदर डेटा इज गिवन टू अस. Chavon Company's free cash flow to equity is currently estimated at 7 million. ठीक है. For Chavon Company, what is the free cash flow to equity? 7 million. Expected to grow at an annual rate of 3%. Expected to generate return on equity of 15%. ठीक है. So, market value of Chavon Company. कैसे निकालेंगे? Market value of Chavon Company. It is 7 million into 1 plus 3% डिवाइडेड बाय 15% माइनस 3%। कैसे आएगा ये? इंटू 1 + 3% divided by 15% minus 3%. Something like this should be the equity market value of Chavon company. ठीक है। अब ये दोनों कंपनीज के बारे में वी हैव acquired some information. दोनों कंपनीज का वी हैव tried to calculate the market value. Now, is that what they had asked us to do? Let's see. पूछा क्या था आपको? They had asked you equity value of the combined company and expected additional value arising from combination of Selorne and Chavon. We have individual company values. We need value of the combined company. Chris Chavon expects that total free cash flow to equity of the combined company will increase by 5 million due to synergy benefit. She believes that Selorne company will be able to win more contracts because it is larger and because it will be diversifying the services which it offers. She also believes that significant operational synergies can be achieved, pointing out that Selorne company drivers spend idle time during winter months when removal activity is traditionally lower. Chris believes that she can achieve the synergies if she is given management responsibility for the operational reorganization, including dealing with staff employment and retention. Chris Chavon thinks that synergies could also be achieved in central admin and in premises cost. The chief executive and the finance director of Selorne Company are in favor of bidding for Chavon. However, one of the executive directors is opposed to the bid. He is skeptical about the level of synergies which can be achieved and does not want Chris to be brought into the management of Selorne. He suggests that if the bid is to go ahead, it should be a cash offer rather than a share exchange. Selorne's chief executive has responded that Chris is likely to ask for a higher equivalent price if the purchase is for cash. ठीक है। अब हमने इंडिविजुअल कंपनी का तो वैल्यू निकाल लिया। वील नीड टू कैलकुलेट द वैल्यू ऑफ द कंबाइंड एंटिटी। इधर क्या बोला है? लुक एट दिस लाइन। This line says that Chris expects that total free cash flow to equity will increase by 5 million due to synergy benefit. ठीक है। अब इंडिविजुअल कंपनीज का कैश फ्लो यू हैव, राइट? इसका फ्री कैश फ्लो टू इक्विटी इज दिस मच, इसका फ्री कैश फ्लो टू इक्विटी इज 7 मिलियन। कंबाइंड कंपनी का बिकॉज ऑफ सिनर्जी बेनिफिट्स इट विल बी 5 मिलियन। एंड see, and they are also saying that multiple of it can be assumed to remain unchanged if the acquisition takes place. ठीक है। So, what are total free cash flow of combined entity? So, Selorne. Selorne का कितना है? 40625 000 प्लस Chavon, इसका कितना है? 7 मिलियन प्लस सिनर्जी 5 मिलियन। ठीक है। टोटल कितना होगा? Let's quickly calculate. Plus 10.
Sir, not six, not C15. It will be 7 million.
Oh, yes, my mistake. It has to be 7. Correct. Thanks for pointing that out. हाँ, 5625 000 5625 52625, sorry, 52625 000। ठीक है। So, what is the what is the combined company value? Combined company value is FCFE of combined company into multiple of 8. So 52625 into 8। ठीक है। 52625 123 into 8। ठीक है। नाउ टेल मी हाउ विल यू, सो दिस इज द वैल्यू ऑफ द कंबाइंड कंपनी। ठीक है। अब आर यू विथ मी सो फार?
Yes.
अब क्या करना है आगे, वो देखो। दिस इज नॉट द फुल एक्सपेक्टेशन, एक और चीज पूछी है आपको। व्हाट इज द एडिशनल वैल्यू अराइजिंग फ्रॉम कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ सेलॉर्न एंड चावोन? तो दैट एडिशनल वैल्यू इज वैल्यू ऑफ द कंबाइंड एंटिटी माइनस द वैल्यू ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल एंटिटीज। ऐसे करेंगे तो आपको मिलेगा एडिशनल वैल्यू क्रिएटेड। ठीक है। सो additional value created is value of combined company minus value of individual entities। ठीक है। ये है 421 123 123 minus 40625, sorry, that is free cash flow to equity. Value of the company is 325012123 minus
600.
60083 123। ठीक है। ये हो गया आपका। कैसे आएगा एक बार देख लो। 359 16667। 359 16667। अगर मिलियन में पूछा तो मिलियन में बता देना। ठीक है। ये हो गया फर्स्ट 6 मार्क्स। देन estimate the share of the gain from combination created for Chris and the share of gain created for Selorne company's shareholders and comment on your results। ठीक है। अब you will have to first of all understand कि what kind of offer was given। ठीक है। अब look at the share exchange offer। What is the offer? Chris Chavon indicated that she would prefer the consideration to be a share for share exchange, the term being one Chavon share for 5 Selorne company shares। Now, first of all, ये Chris कौन है? Who is Chris? Chris is the Chavon is owned 100% by its founder, Chris। Chris owns all the shares of Chavon। ठीक है। So what is the term? One Chavon company share for 5 Selorne company shares। So if you have one share, against that you will get 5 shares in Selorne company। ठीक है। अब टोटल शेयर्स कितने हैं सेलॉर्न कंपनी, सॉरी चावोन कंपनी में? देर आर 2 मिलियन शेयर्स। ठीक है। पार्ट बी, टर्म्स ऑफ acquisition आर 5 shares in Selorne company for every one share acquired in Chavon। Chris holds 100% shares in Chavon, that is 2 million shares। So total shares issued to Chris are 2 million into 5, that is 10 million shares, है ना? Now we need to know कि अभी क्या होगा। See, combined company, कंबाइंड एंटिटी इज सेलॉर्न लिमिटेड, है ना? अब वही कंबाइंड एंटिटी है। चावोन कंपनी इज आउट। ठीक है। नाउ नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स इन इशू कितना था इसका? नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स इन इशू वाज सेलॉर्न कंपनी में इतना 50 मिलियन। ठीक है। नाउ शेयर्स इशू टू क्रिस। ओ, सो टोटल नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स कितना हो गया? टोटल नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स इन कंबाइंड कंपनी, this plus this। ठीक है। You already have the value of the combined entity। वैल्यू ऑफ कंबाइंड एंटिटी हमने निकाल के रखा है ना? दिस now when you have value of the combined entity, you have number of shares in the combined entity. Can we calculate the value per share? Value per share post acquisition 7.02 है ना? एंड क्रिस के पास कितने शेयर्स है? बिकॉज वाई आर वी डूइंग दिस? दे हैव आस्क्ड अस शेयर ऑफ गेन फ्रॉम कॉम्बिनेशन क्रिएटेड फॉर क्रिस। ठीक है, सो वैल्यू ऑफ क्रिसिस शेयर होल्डिंग is 10 million shares into 7.02 per share. This is the value of Chris's shareholding. Now, what is the value of the gain that she got? ठीक है, gain for her would be value pre-acquisition minus value post-acquisition. Now, what is value of Chris's shareholding pre-acquisition? कितना है? We had calculated the value of the combined entity. Sorry, we had calculated value of Chavon 6 crore and Chris is the 100% shareholder in this company. So naturally the entire company value is the value of her shareholding, right? Itna. So what is the gain created for Chris? 1 crore का gain हो गया उसको almost, है ना? दिस इज द फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन. व्हाट हैव दे आस्क्ड यू? परसेंटेज पूछा था कि सिर्फ गेन पूछा था? दे हैड आस्क्ड यू शेयर ऑफ गेन फ्रॉम कॉम्बिनेशन क्रिएटेड फॉर क्रिस. ठीक है, नाउ थिंक अबाउट इट. थिंक फॉर अ मोमेंट एंड टेल मी हाउ विल यू कैलकुलेट द गेन फॉर द अदर शेयर होल्डर्स. ठीक है, आई विल गिव यू 1 मिनट. थिंक अबाउट इट. कैसे कैलकुलेट करेंगे शेयर ऑफ गेन?
From the additional value, we will deduct gain created for Chris.
ओके,
And then we will add the uh, gain received to Chakuta.
और कैन वी डू दिस? वी नो द टोटल एडिशनल वैल्यू क्रिएटेड, है ना? उसमें से वील सब्ट्रैक्ट द गेन क्रिएटेड फॉर क्रिस. द बैलेंस अमाउंट इज गेन. पूछा क्या है आपको? गेन क्रिएटेड फॉर सेलॉन कंपनीज शेयर होल्डर्स, है ना? गेन क्रिएटेड फॉर सेलॉन कंपनीज शेयर होल्डर्स. कैन वी डू टोटल गेन क्रिएटेड इन acquisition minus gain attributed to Chris, है ना? कितना है टोटल गेन क्रिएटेड? यहां पे वी हैव कैलकुलेटेड 359,16,667. 667 100,83123 कितना होगा बताइए? 359,16,667 माइनस 258,33,334. ठीक है, हो गया. इफ यू वांट आप परसेंटेज गेन भी निकाल सकते हो इसके लिए इन बोथ द कंपनीज. सी नाउ इन सम क्वेश्चंस व्हाट दे विल डू इज दे विल से दैट the offer will be acceptable only if the gain is between this 10% and 30%, for example. Then you will have to see if the gain lies between those limits, and then if it is so, then the offer will be acceptable to the shareholders of both the companies. इसमें ऐसा नहीं पूछा है तो ठीक है, no need to do that. Okay, this is part 2, 6 plus 6, 12. Evaluate how reliable the estimates of synergies for the combined company are likely to be and discuss the factors which may prevent the forecast synergies from being achieved. What I want you to do is, I want you to read the paragraph, read it carefully, this one and this one. Think about it, think about the synergies that can be achieved, and then we'll discuss it together. ठीक है? I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes. एक बार पढ़ लो इसको, and then we can discuss it together. चलो. Now see, the calculation of the combined company value, it depends very closely on whether that 5 million synergy gets achieved or not. Otherwise, the whole acquisition process might not really have a lot of significance, right? When I'm talking about the reliability of synergy estimates, what all synergies are we? First of all, synergy is that additional value which is created when two companies get combined. What do we mean by that? 2 plus 2 is not giving you 4, it gives you more than 4, it gives you 5. So the synergies relating to size and service. ठीक है? On one hand, they are saying कि, ability to gain large contracts, and neither company has had recent success in doing this. So, if the two companies come together, then as a combined entity, your size is bigger, you might be able to get the larger contracts. ठीक है? Then there are synergies relating to operations and working practices. Uh, and that is something which basically the drivers are lying idle, and you can utilize their free time in a better way. But for that, it is necessary that the employment conditions have to improve. ठीक है? अब driver utilization is not, they have a lot of spare time right now. Okay, but if more contracts are won, then the spare time will be lower and their time will be put to better use. See, some other synergies are easy to obtain with respect to duplication of premises in some locations. They said that both the companies have offices in the same set of cities, है ना? दोनों कंपनीज के ऑफिसेस सिमिलर सिटीज में हैं. सो बोथ आर इन नोएडा और बोथ आर इन मुंबई और समथिंग लाइक दिस. तो instead of operating from two offices, you could shut down one office and operate from one single premises. So that will save you the rental cost, है ना? And then you could combine certain central administrative functions like HR and IT and all of this, and that can also reduce that can also reduce cost to a great extent. They have asked you, evaluate how reliable the estimate of synergies are. ठीक है? So first of all, we discussed what synergies are possible. Now, when you are trying to achieve this, because see, the success of the proposal depends on the achievement of synergies. Now, both companies, as we have observed in the beginning, their approach to work is different. Okay, both companies don't work in the same fashion. What do I mean by that? One company has high salary levels, the other company doesn't. There is, see, this Chris person, she wants to be running the whole show. uh, if that doesn't happen, then there is a possibility that she will create roadblocks in the success of that, because she's also getting out of 50, up total 60 million shares mein uska holding is 10 million. So naturally she is a significant shareholder. So you cannot ignore her, but she has a different view of working, so it can slow down the whole process. If Chris is getting the leading role that she deserves, there may be a change in management style, because she wants to be the one running the show. है ना? उसको चलाना है सब कुछ. But if that happens, then overall what can happen is, the other people, people in Selorne company who were used to a particular style of working, those people might get offended, or they might not be comfortable with her approach to work, because she comes from a different company. So वो भी एक, that can also serve as a roadblock in your achievement of synergies. Then another possible reason for that could be कि different remuneration levels है. Selorn company staff may have stayed with the company for long. The other company staff hasn't stayed with the company. They may expect salaries to be, in line with the Selorn company's employees in the combined company, something like this. So to achieve synergies, there are multiple avenues of achieving synergies, but the success of that is not so straightforward. There are multiple challenges in your path. Now आप ऑब्जर्व करो, ये पूरा क्वेश्चन कैलकुलेशन वाइज इट वाज नॉट डिफिकल्ट. इन फैक्ट द सेकंड पार्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन जो है, इट फील्स मोर लाइक अ क्वेश्चन इन SBL दैन इट कैन फील लाइक अ क्वेश्चन इन AFM, कि सिनर्जीज कैसे अचीव होंगे एंड हाउ कैन यू improve the performance basically, and what are the roadblocks, what are the challenges which will prevent you from achieving these synergies. So all of these 8 marks के लिए आपको पूछा गया है पेपर में. Now when it is getting tested for 8 marks, अब ACCA does not reward you for writing generic answers. Okay, your answer has to be aligned very closely with the uh, फैक्ट्स ऑफ द केस. तो जो भी आपके फैक्ट्स ऑफ द केस है वो आपको अच्छे से, यू विल हैव टू फोकस ऑन दोज. योर आंसर, आई एम रिपीटिंग, कैन नॉट बी जेनेरिक. योर आंसर हैज टू बी बेस्ड ऑन फैक्ट्स ऑफ द केस. ठीक है. अब आई हैव whatever points we have discussed in terms of the theory answer, I have put those together in the Excel sheet, and I will be uploading this Excel sheet again on the group, so should not be a problem. Just make sure that whatever questions we are doing, यू आर वेल इक्विप्ड कि यार उसको कैलकुलेशन कैसे किया और उसका थियोरी हमने कैसे हैंडल किया. ठीक है. सो दिस वाज Selorne company. Now before we I want to discuss a couple of points with you.